Hey, welcome to the Publish, Promote, Profit podcast with me, Rob Kosberg. Every week, I interview thought leaders and experts who have used a book to grow their income and their impact. So tune in weekly for these interviews so you can learn how to use your own best-selling book and go from hunting for clients and opportunities to instead being the hunted. All right. Hey, welcome everybody. Rob Kosberg here. We have another great guest for an episode of the Publish, Promote, Profit podcast. I have with me Andrew Kap. You see his book. If you're watching this on video, you'll see his book in the background. Andrew is the best-selling author of the last law of attraction book you'll ever need to read. That is literally the title. It is a book that has been sold to tens of thousands, perhaps hundreds of thousands of people with over 1,600 4- and 5-star reviews, which is just fantastic. Very, very intrigued by the success of your book and look forward to talking to you about that. This book does something that no other law of attraction book has been able to do by going the extra mile of finally addressing why people who get excited about trying it still can't manage to get in the habit of using these methods, and you teach them how to do it in just 5 minutes a day, which is really cool. So, of course, you have a YouTube channel. We'll give everyone links to all of your media as well, so they can learn more about you. But Andrew, thank you, and welcome to the podcast.
Rob, thanks so much for having me. Really excited to be here. And we're going towards 100,000 copies. We're not there quite yet, but I'm not going to complain one bit.
Yes.
And I'm super happy to be here and excited to go down whatever road you want to talk about.
Love it. Well, your book was launched not quite 2 years ago, November of 2019. Mm-hmm. And I was checking today. It's the number one bestseller today. So it continues to be ranked number one, number two, number three in multiple categories, hypnotherapy, other law of attraction type categories. So tell me, why do you think it has taken off the way it has? What is it that is making it so appealing to your audience?
You know, I'm going to do my best to give a short answer because it's actually a long answer. There's a lot going on.
Long answers are okay. They're good too.
Well, obviously, we've got a really bold title here. Yeah. I mean, this isn't a title. This is a promise. I mean, you think the last law of attraction book you'll ever need to read.
Yeah.
And I'm speaking from experience as that person who used to go through book to book to book, program to program to program. So, I mean, I would hope that it's really hitting a note because it is, in fact, keeping its promise of addressing why do we get excited about this stuff? We actually do it. It actually starts to work. Yeah. And we still stop it. I mean, If anyone, I know for me, if someone could have answered that question for me years back, I would have taken it in a heartbeat. And you think about it, the book's only $4 on Kindle. So it's not like I'm charging an arm and a leg for this type of thing. So I think a huge part is in having a lot of enthusiasm, a lot to the book itself. But also, I've been very intentional about creating an ecosystem of value, you might say, meaning the book on its own stands on its own. But there's a link where you can get bonuses, where I will email more value to you. When people email me, I'm actually the author writing back, whereas some people, they'll never expect to hear back from the author. So people know that if they recommend this book and their friend has a question, I'm going to take care of them as well. Plus, I have the YouTube channel that's in support of this. So I'm doing what I can to offer the content in a user-friendly, consistent, easy, just turnkey type of way. And I think that does have a lot of legs to it because I can say it right now. I can say that I really care for people, but no one's going to believe it unless you actually demonstrate it. And I think I've built in the ecosystem that demonstrates it. Yeah. And I think that lends a lot of credibility to what I'm doing with it.
Love it. Love it. Well, you said a couple of things that I wholeheartedly agree with. Not that I disagree with anything you said, but number one, hooks and titles. And you got a great hook, which is very attractive. So for those that are listening, books are sold on covers and titles because people don't know what they have and have to make a judgment call based on what they see. So I love that. And obviously you over-delivering by offering additional bonuses and things like that really make a difference for people. It looks to me, I didn't see any other books that you had written or any of books that you have written on Amazon, so I'm assuming that this is your first book. You may or may not know, but this kind of success isn't normal.
Yeah. So I've written a couple things. I've written a couple other books synonymously. I didn't want to, it's actually, my name's Andrew Kaplan. There's another Andrew Kaplan already on Amazon.
Okay.
I don't want to cannibalize his sales. I don't want to create confusion. So I shortened it in that regard. this is not, a first time. I mean, I've never had this kind of level. A lot of it was just like learning.
Yeah.
And I do want to speak to what you said, because you articulated better to me about titles and covers. I understand, besides the content hopefully delivering on what it's supposed to, I do understand that when I designed this cover, it was with the understanding that people are scrolling through Amazon and it's going to be really small. So you better be able to see it. It better stand out. And yes, it better have a title that's going to let you know that I'm not messing around, that I'm not playing around here. But it's not a first go, but it's certainly, with or without publishing anything else beforehand, what I really have is I've got 20 years as an entrepreneur, 20 years of marketing consulting experience, a bunch of years of copywriting. So I do lend a lot of my skills and tools towards doing what I can to the best of my ability to communicate the value that I'm offering through the book.
Love it. Love it. Well said, my friend. Well said. So let's talk a little bit about the content itself. I think by nature, most people, there's an innate part of us that there's this spiritual connection, whether it's a piece within us that we feel like is missing, and there's something higher that we look to. And I've always thought of the law of attraction as, having that kind of obvious spiritual element, which I am in agreement with, and I think all human beings have a deep need for that kind of meaningful connection with God, a higher power, etc. The thing that I've seen that I haven't always loved about law of attraction is the disconnection between the doing and the believing. Right?
Mm-hmm.
That I've seen in some elements of the teaching. Certainly not, I'm not saying is of yours, but I'd like to get your viewpoint on that. I'd like to get your thoughts on that. Have you recognized that? Is that something that you either think, well, Rob, I think you're off base here, or, I'd love your viewpoint on it.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like we're definitely in agreement. You take a book like The Secret, and they had a movie also.
Yeah.
And The Secret gets a bad rap. I don't think because it was so materialistic and because it was telling you just sit on your couch, but because people often interpret it in that way. And maybe they could communicate the message better, maybe they couldn't. But I would say this, I'm a huge proponent of sitting on your couch to a point, meaning sit on your couch, visualize, experience gratitude, let those things go in, but more kind of like in the context of people, they get those big ideas when they're in the shower, not when they're pulling their hair out trying to force it. Meaning, sit on the couch and visualize to open up the floodgates of ideas and inspiration that come in. But then, and I'm borrowing this term, I didn't come up with this term, rather than taking lackful action, you take inspired action. You should take action. Action is required, but I highly recommend that the action be inspired, that it's out of a place of abundance thinking, out of a place of confidence and certainty and enthusiasm and gratitude, versus trying to bend reality to your will, being in a lackful state, being in an impatient, frustrated, downplay kind of state. So I'm a huge proponent of taking action. I mean, I wrote this book in 9.5 weeks.
Wow.
And I didn't do it by doing an hour a day. I did it by waking up at 7 a.m. maybe, and sometimes working till 4 a.m. and really grinding it out. But it was a labor of love. It was something where I was enthusiastic. I actually, I designed the cover myself really early in the process, and I'd put it on screen and I would meditate and let it like really pump me up and remind me of what I'm trying to do with this book, because there aren't hundreds, there's thousands of books in this space, really, I think.
No doubt.
And like, if I'm going to write something, how do I contribute to the marketplace in a unique way and actually leave my footprint versus just being another guy? Because then what's the point of writing the book, right? So I took that book and I meditated on it. I had an enthusiasm and I had myself pumped up, but then I took the action of grinding it out, of writing it, of spitting it out on paper. And I gave this like 10 passes because I understood that sometimes people can misinterpret. I was very intentional about how I communicated my message, because I don't, not to, it sounds a little pretentious, but I don't view this as a book and I'm not an author. I am a composer, and this is a song. This is a piece where you're taking a person in an experience from page 1 to, in my case, page 208, where every page, every paragraph, every chapter, all those elements have to blend together in a symphony, that you're building a foundation in the beginning, since it's nonfiction, and then you're delivering on that in the later ends, where it makes more sense and there's a richer texture to what you're hearing in the end, because you intelligently, hopefully, set that foundation in the beginning while simultaneously making that beginning still consumable, still entertaining, still easy to take in, and still easy to enjoy.
Yeah. Love it. Love it. A composer. That's a cool way to think about it. I think I've certainly heard many different people reference their writing as art, And I do think that there's a very artistic, creative part to that, unless you're writing a manual or a textbook of some kind, which clearly you're not. So tell me, give us some verses of your song, so to speak. Everybody has a methodology or steps, if you will. Mm-hmm. And so tell me, what are the steps to deliver on the promise that you're offering, which is both the law of attraction methodology as well as whatever that missing piece is that causes people to give up on the process?
Right. So to start with, in my opinion, any law of attraction book worth its salt is hopefully going to explain the law of attraction in an easily digestible way, and is also ideally going to offer techniques or methods, which is really just, a gratitude exercise, a visualization exercise, scripting, whatever it might be. Yeah. That's user friendly. Now, I would hope that I would accomplish that in my book, but the extra thing that I did that I think is addressing your question is answering, okay, if this is so simple, how come people don't do it? How come they start to get results and they still don't do it?
Right.
And the way I describe it in the book is, and bear in mind, obviously, I'm not a psychotherapist or psychologist. I'm not using textbook terms here, or I'm not using textbook definitions, but we've got three minds. We've got a conscious mind, we've got our subconscious mind, and right in the middle, we've got the ego. Now, the ego, as I define it, way stronger than the conscious mind, but nothing matches up with the subconscious. Now, the ego, as I define it, only has one job in this world, and that's to keep you alive. And that's good news or bad news, depending on where you are in your life right now, because that means whatever your money problems are, whatever your relationship problems are, even whatever your health problems are, your ego knows that in this moment you are alive. And it probably doesn't really want to risk the status quo, even of a perceived improvement, because there might be someone out there that wants to be rich and famous right now, but for all their ego knows is when they become famous, they're going to get a stalker. And that's a threat to their survival. For all their ego knows is they're going to get rich, and all of a sudden distant family is going to come out of the woodwork and sue them for the house. And that's a threat to their survival. So this part of your mind, the ego, it loves you. And it's a misguided way of protecting you. But that's the thing that knows your fears, uncertainties, and doubts, and is going to play on you to stop you from doing what you're doing, which is why it might be like, you do a couple consecutive days of gratitude and you're feeling really good. And your ego's like, hey, Rob, you're doing great. You've done 4 days. I think you could take a day off now. You could take a week off now.
Relax.
You could take a month off.
Yeah.
It's already working. It'll play on fears. It'll say whatever it needs to say to get you out of that rhythm or state of improvement of what you're doing. And for me, understanding this, or at least, this being my understanding, what do I do to fix this, address this? Well, it's to bypass the ego and access that more powerful subconscious mind. And conveniently for me, because this isn't a weight training book, this isn't a nutrition book, this is a law of attraction book, the way by which you do this is by finding a gratitude or visualization exercise that you genuinely enjoy, and you only have to do it for 5 minutes a day. And when you do that, depending on your beliefs, you're feeding thoughts to your subconscious mind, or you're extending that vibration out to the universe, or maybe a combination, which is what I believe, because it's all connected anyway. But you're basically, through that visualization, through that gratitude, you're skipping over to the ego. Subconscious mind is doing a lot of heavy lifting. And here's the cool part. Then you make improvements. And once you've done so, your ego looks around, it sees you're alive, and now it will fight tooth and nail to protect that, which is why sometimes people, they get to $100,000 they're making a year, and then they lose their job. And then within a year, they're making that money again. Right. It's because that's their new safe financial thermostat. Their ego knows it's okay for them to get there. Therefore, they can get back there.
Interesting. Very, very cool. So could you, in a few minutes, give us some background on one of these gratitude visualizations might look like? What are the pieces of that?
I'll teach one of my favorite methods from the book. It's called the Timelapse Method. And it's a simple gratitude process where you're going to write down 15 things that you're grateful for. 5 of them are from your past, 5 of them are from your present, and 5 are things that you want in your future.
Okay.
Now, again, whether we're speaking to the universe or the subconscious mind, let's be strategic here. We're going to list all these things out in the present tense, where if you read your list to someone else, a stranger, they'd have no idea what was the truth, what happened, what's going to happen.
Right.
It's all in the present tense. So we've got this list of, past, present, future, and we're going to jumble up this list now. So maybe the first thing is a present, followed by a future, followed by a past, followed by who knows what. And you're just going to go through each item on the list and read it. And by the way, it could be inside your head. You could read it aloud. There's no rules to this. You follow it the way you want to follow it. And then you give yourself 20 to 60 seconds to feel gratitude for whatever that thing is that you read. Here's where the fun part comes in, and here's where the strategy comes in. 2/3 of that list is real. It either has happened or is happening in your three-dimensional tangible reality. Therefore, the gratitude that you experience and feel for it is going to have a certainty and a confidence and a level of enthusiasm and power that you just can't manufacture. It's going to be over the top. But because we as humans don't downshift very easily, that same enthusiasm and energy is going to carry over into the gratitude when you're reading the future items as well. So not only, depending on your beliefs, are you programming your subconscious mind or the universe or both to mirror and invite the successes for you, but you're also feeling good while you're doing it, and you're fueling it with stuff that's already happened in your life, and you're just having a good time. Because in the end, all this comes down to, from my perspective, is finding a way to feel good for even just 5 minutes a day, while thinking about what you have or what you want or both.
I love that. That's a very simple little process. In fact, I have my time of gratitude every single morning, my prayer time, my meditation. And oftentimes I am thinking about the same things over and over and over again, and feel this incredible gratitude for those things that have to do with my wife of 30 years, my children, the business that I have, the things that I enjoy, et cetera. But I love adding in the future things. That's easy, right? And
yes.
So is part of it, just so I'm clear, because I'm going to do this, is part of it, I got my journal here, and so I'm writing in my journal. I write the 15 things in any order, and this is what I'm using on a kind of daily basis to remember those things, and I'm sitting there in my chair or wherever and thinking about it. Is that the idea?
Yes, and there's no rules, meaning you could write it on a piece of paper and then just order it and how you're going to read it.
Okay.
You could write on a piece of paper and then tear up the pieces and actually put them in an order.
Right.
You could type it out. You don't have to write it. You can do whatever you want. There's no rules. And
cool.
It's all about doing it in a way that works for you. And I gave you an example of something where you write, and some people like to write and some people don't. It's just one method of many, and it depends on the person's personality, which is why I put a number of methods in the book, because I understand any one method on its own is enough as long as the person enjoys the method. Some people like writing, some people like visualizing, some people like this, some people like that. It's all about finding what works for you that you enjoy individually and taking it that way. And by the way, I love how you mentioned certain things when you feel good about certain of the same things. You can use the same list every day. You can make new lists every day. You can do combinations. And P.S., for everyone wondering, if you want to fix your relationship, but you're feeling good about your money, you're putting out the feeling and vibe of feeling good. So you can just focus on your money, and that whole relationship improvement will come anyways, as long as you're not doing anything to hold it back. Yeah. So as long as you feel good about anything, you're inviting good in everything.
Yeah, look, I love that. Whether somebody is listening to this and believes in whatever their idea of the law of attraction is or not, the fact of all the science and all the studies that have been done that revolve around being grateful and gratitude and bringing gratitude into your life, and how that creates this, both positive self-image, this desire to be good to other people, your fellow human beings, etc. I mean, you can't argue the science of that. So I love, for anybody that's listening to this, whether they believe in whatever their idea of it is or not, you can believe in the power of gratitude, right?
Yes.
We all have things to be incredibly grateful for. So yeah, I love that. That is a very, very simple methodology. Now, is that the one that you use, or is that kind of a primary one for you personally?
That was one that I used a lot. I mean, and we can go down this road if you want, but I had a really bad year in 2008 that kind of snapped me out of things and made me realize that all I really knew to be is consistent with this. But this was the method that I use that I attribute most to helping me turn around my finances. Not that I can't turn around anyone for anything else. The thing that I do every single day actually is I pull out my phone, I turn on the recorder app, and whether it's 90 seconds or 3 minutes or 5 minutes, I just describe all the things that I'm grateful for. And then I send that message to my friend across the country, and he does the same thing for me.
Oh, cool.
Every single day. We've been doing it for 3.5 years. We never missed a day because it's fun. We've installed that social pressure so that you can't, and strategic about this stuff. Yeah. I'll do whatever I can do to get out of my own way. And it's really cool because the amazing growth that we've seen in each other's lives as we're doing this has been miraculous. Like we were doing this before I ever wrote the book. So he's had a front row seat to me writing the book, publishing the book, all the 5-star reviews piling in, all the sales piling in, all the emails, like all this stuff. He's got a front row seat for when I didn't have this book in any kind of level of existence in the real world here. So that's what I do every single day. Simple message of gratitude, send off to a friend, get his, and we keep it going that way.
Love it. Love it. Yeah. And that anything that you can do, I guess, to include other people, have a partner, have a buddy, someone to help you and keep you accountable. Sounds like that's a great way to do it. So love that. Let me change gears for a minute. I know the importance of writing a book. Obviously, it's what my business is. It's what I've done personally. But I also know that you don't get rich just by the royalties from writing a book. And of course, rich is defined in many different ways. That's not the point of what I'm about to ask. But tell me, what is your business? How are you helping people? Are you a consultant in this way? Are you a speaker? Like, I've seen your stuff online and that kind of thing, but I'd like to know, like, what does Andrew do in this field?
Yeah, so I'm a little weird in the sense that I do less than people think from this perspective. Yeah. So before I did this road, I was a marketing consultant and I did copywriting for other people.
Right.
And I've retained one client just because. But I mean, I like to pour all my energy into this. Regarding my business, I mean, there's the book in all the formats it's available.
Yep.
I do have one product. So I have one big product on the back end, which is a 90-day product that walks people through the methods.
Yeah, I saw that.
And I got, very few things, but for the most part, I've made the conscious choice to focus my business just around this. So I don't have a lot going on right now. Even though I can flip the switch whenever I want to. So a lot of this for me has been volume, and it's just been me doing this. And, obviously I've got the YouTube channel also. So yep. I'm about to enter the monetization state of that and see where that takes me.
Yeah.
If someone wants to work with me individually, honestly, I don't have my business set up for it. If they reach out to me, I'll say, okay, you don't need me, but if you want to talk to me, here are my rates and we'll do this. But P.S., my goal is not that you're hooked on me, but that I give you everything that you need in that one call. Even though I'm glad to talk to you again, I want to try to do my part because this is my personal opinion. I don't believe in the law of attraction space. You need a guru. I believe you are your own guru. Right. So I've structured it in the way where the book is enough, but if someone wants a little extra, they've got my 90-day program on top of that. And if someone really wants extra, they've got the YouTube on top of that. And they really want something. All right, we'll do a call. Here are my rates. It's a little pricey because I'm so busy, but you don't need me, but I'll do this anyway. So long story short, I don't do very much right now, even though I always have means by which I can flip a switch and do the copywriting and do the marketing consulting again. I'm much more focused into this. And I do also do a podcast, but I can't give you any specifics on how income that might be bringing in. And since it doesn't, I can't really credit it.
Right. Interesting. Well, one of the reasons that I ask is, most authors are not going to have the kind of success that after a year and a half, you've sold almost 100,000 copies with 1,600 reviews. And so one of the things that we focus on with our clients is showing them how they can make hundreds of thousands or even millions of dollars a year with just a few thousand sales with using their book. And so, I see a number of different ways that somebody in this space could do that. It could be as simple as having a group where there's accountability and there's a membership aspect to it. Doesn't have to be very expensive, but so I was just wondering if there were those elements in play.
If I may, Rob, just in service to the audience, to give ideas that I haven't followed through on yet, along with what you said, when travel gets a little bit lighter for people in this day and age, I fully intend on having events in some way, shape, or form, more for the fun and the enjoyment. Yeah, I have tinkered with the idea of mastermind groups and things of that nature. And by the way, when you're serving people, this is something that's very easy to do. It sounds so, philosophical and grand, but when you're really in service to your audience, the products that you come up with and the way you deliver on them will be effortless. It'll almost be the execution. That'll feel like the heavy lifting because you're too busy creating all the awesome stuff. Right. So just to say, I'm fully aware of the fact that if I do want to go this road, and I will, as long as I feel comfortable that I'm serving my audience and giving them something that they can't already get out of what I've already given them. Yeah. Doing live events, doing masterminds, doing group calls, doing stuff like that is a very easy transition and a very sensible, strategic, just intelligent decision to go down. Yeah. Yeah, totally agree. There's a lot of different ways to do it. That was why I was asking. And obviously you've done really well with what you're doing. So congratulations on that. Thank you. You can always add the other things in later. And if I may add one more thing here, the reason I have the luxury of not having to do that extra stuff is because, again, I've already built in my ecosystem of value, which I think helps with the volume. Part of the reason that people share this book is because again, it's not an act. They know that I care. And I mean, we can talk about this from a marketing perspective. There's a social currency to recommending something to somebody else that's going to help them. Like me, if someone says that their back hurts, I don't get a commission, but I say, hey, check out DDP Yoga because it's done great stuff for me and I know it goes well, which means I know if they get the program and they use it and they feel better, just as a social creature, this is a selfish thing, but I know this about myself. They are going to attribute some of their good feeling towards me and they're going to remember me for it. There's a social currency. This is how we're built as human beings. So I've made it abundantly clear that if you recommend my book, you're not going to regret it. The person you recommend it to is not going to regret it. You're not going to look bad here. You're going to look good here. And I think there's something to that can be attributed when you do your programs, when you do your masterminds, when you do your events, when you are building in that ecosystem that there's value in every way, shape, or form from as many as imaginative angles as you can give, you are building up a goodwill that's going to return in spades.
No, I love that. And you've expressed it in a really cool way. The idea of referring somebody as being social capital for the referrer is 100% true, because when you refer somebody or a book or help for your back or any of those kinds of examples, and then it actually helps that person, the person that referred them feels this, this sense of leadership, this sense of well-being of, you know what, I helped them, right? And it just naturally makes you as the referrer feel better. So it's innate, and it does, if you give people the opportunity and express it the way you have, then you'll get more referrals for your business than you are right now for those that are listening.
Yeah. The key to success, I mean, you can say is giving value, and it is, but how do you give value? You want to take an honest look in the mirror at yourself, because the more personal your stuff is, the more universal it is. Meaning, if you can look into any selfish nature, any nature of biases or things of that nature and say, okay, let me not maliciously, but let me leverage this towards my business, towards sharing my product or my service, then you're always going to win, because you're taking into account the obvious human knowledge and human understanding that if people go to an event, they're looking for a solution maybe, or they're looking for an escape depending on the event, or they're looking for both.
Right.
Answer the question, are they looking for an escape at this event? Are they looking for a solution? Are they looking for both? And now that I know what this is, how do I provide that for them in a way that they will never forget, in a way that under-promised and over-delivered? And then people say that, that's an overused term, but I don't care. I'm a huge proponent of under-promising and over-delivering. I even stayed in a couple products because it keeps me honest. When I make that claim, it's like, oh my God, I just said I'm going to do this. Now I've got my feet to the fire that I better deliver in that way. I think it's a really cool thing. When you can do that, people will talk about you, people will buy from you. And by the way, they will buy from you sight unseen. Not to be selfish or to sound egotistical, but since my audience knows that I'm only giving them value and I've only ever given them value, it's very easy if I do a product launch, send it out there sight unseen, and they'll buy. Now I got to make sure that I don't fail them that time. Otherwise I'll kill all my capital with them. But I have built up enough of goodwill where I can tell them something and, they'll buy it because they already have that expectation based on all the other positive experiences I've given them. When your customer service is actually a sales machine for you, your ability to deliver on a product is a sales machine for you, because you're continually sending the message that you've made a good investment in me. This isn't a one and done. I'm not going to take your money and run. I'm going to take your money and use that as fuel and resources in order to build better products and better services and better experiences for you, the customer or client.
Yeah. Beautiful. Beautiful. Love it. Well said. Let's shift gears again and talk a little bit about what the book has done for you. You have almost 100,000 people that have bought it. It's obviously doing things for others. It's making an impact that I imagine you hoped it would make. But what has it done for you in the way of maybe growing your authority in this space, maybe attracting, new potential clients to you, selling products, additional products, et cetera? Give me some feedback on how the book has, made a difference in your life.
It's very weird because I didn't have any specific expectations that I was even laying out other than this general huge impact type of thing. What I've noticed is I'll get into conversations with people and they'll be like, oh, wait, you wrote that book. I've just started that. It's awesome.
Yeah.
So in other words, it's kind of or like someone told me about it. So what the book has done is it's through its own way has found ways of reaching people before I get to them, or even more prominently as I'm getting to them. It's been this weird thing where it kind of, again, because I was so intentional about making it over deliver, it very easily clears a pathway where if I reach out to a podcast, I'm not sure what happened with you specifically, but if I reach out to a podcast and I tell them about the book, well, they just got to go on Amazon and see the reviews. It's like, well, Andrew's obviously not lying.
Yeah.
I feel pretty safe, and this isn't live anyway, so I'm not going to waste, but I pretty feel safe that Andrew isn't going to be a boring guest, or he's not going to care about delivering value. So I think the book has done a great way of setting a precedent and setting an expectation that my job isn't to set the expectation, it's just to live up to it, because it's already done that for me.
Nice. So it's giving you the cred, the street cred. Mm-hmm. As you said, anytime somebody goes and checks out the book, they're going to see 1,600 reviews. And, most people don't have 1,600 sales, let alone, and I know what it takes to get a review, for crying out loud. I mean, you can get 100 or 1,000 sometimes sales and not get one review. So, anytime somebody sees that, you immediately have credibility in their eyes. So I guess that's led to some media opportunities for you and other things in this space. It makes it easier.
So like the book was featured in USA Today in an article, it was featured in Forbes in an article, it was featured in Yahoo. It's an easier sell to feature that book knowing that you can go on Amazon and they're not losing their credibility by recommending it.
Right.
And by the way, I mean, I know the question is about what the book has done, but just to reinforce for people, I don't rest on my laurels, because I also had a situation this past weekend where somebody invited me to be at an event. And I'm like, cool, well, how'd you first learn about me? He's like, well, I saw you at another event. My team saw you and they've been pestering me. They've been pestering, like, you've got to get this guy. That wasn't off the strength of the book. That was off the strength of the presentation I gave at the event, which was achieved off the strength of the book.
Right.
So it's all kind of like this web, again, ecosystem of value.
Sure.
If I'm giving value in the book, that's going to pave the way. If I'm giving my best in my interviews, that's going to pave the way. If I give as much as I can and actually benefit people, I'm not worried about the return. And, I think oftentimes we get in that web of like, well, I gave this, I better get that. I'll be candid. I remember a few years back, I took on a consultant myself, because, even consultants should have consultants. We should always be looking for mentors and people are going to help us get to the next. Of course. I took on a person or two people to help me get to a certain financial level. I thought they can do it. And to be candid, they couldn't, or they didn't. And it's not even badmouth them. It's a mismatch of their intention and their style and who I was as a person. It didn't work out. But by the time I finally threw in the towel, I'd already invested $14,000. It's like, whoa, that's a lot to throw away. But here's the thing, it's not a loss, because within a year, I was at that financial goal, not really with their help, but I believe through my intention, through the energy I put out, through the investment that I put out there, I did reap the reward. Sometimes the investment that you make is going to be very obvious when you get it back. Sometimes it's going to go full circle. Sometimes you think you're helping someone, but someone else hears you and they're the one that comes back to you. So it just reaffirms and reminds me of when you're giving that value through the book, through your presentations, through everything. I don't care about how it comes back, because I am at a point now where I'm so confident it is coming back.
Right.
And from that relaxed space, I don't worry like, oh, I better not say this thing because that's giving them too much and I better get something in return. It's like, no, I'm going to give as much as I can in any way, shape, or form. And then everything becomes a much more relaxed and thereby, in my opinion, much more successful experience.
Yeah. Well said, my friend. I love it. I think that's probably a good place for us to end. Tell me, where can people get a copy of your book? Obviously on Amazon, but you have other ways and bonuses that they can receive. So let's give them the best place.
Well, thank you for asking. I mean, it is on Apple Books. It is on Audible. I have a link. Just if you go to lastlawofattractionbook.com, that'll actually auto forward to the Amazon listing, Kindle, paperback, audiobook. But if you don't want to pull out your wallet, that's also cool. That's why I've got the YouTube channel. So you can go to youtube.com/Andrew Kap. That's KAP. That's where I have interviews with law of attraction experts. I post about new methods. And I was trying so hard to give value in here. I didn't really want to waste time, but you'll even get my silly sense of humor, which I strategically use to make points in there. So it might be interesting to check that out. But whether it's the YouTube channel or it's the book or anything else, I'm just grateful for anyone that checks it out. And I hope that it'll give value to somebody out there.
I don't think there's any doubt about that. I think you've given great value today. Love the things you shared. I'm absolutely going to be doing that 5-minute gratitude process.
Well, one was the time lapse, and then the other one's I just called a gratitude blitz, where you just like,
I love
boom, thing after thing after thing after thing, and let the enthusiasm carry you. And by the way, real quick, first 30 seconds, you'll be like, meh. But 90 seconds, 120 seconds, you're like, wow, I've got a lot in my life. This is awesome.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Andrew, thank you. Thanks for being on with us today. Obviously, the last law of attraction book you'll ever need to read. People need to go read that and check out your YouTube channel as well. So thank you, my friend. Good to have you here.
Thank you, Rob. I truly enjoyed this conversation. I appreciate being on.
Me too.